Now just behind the rock that broke my Harbor Freight trencher, we have a bed of azaleas that we planted in here and mulched, fertilized fairly well. So I don't really all about not having grass to cut. And here's one of my remote faucets here. I just got it hooked up this morning with some underground line that I ran down the long ditch. And I've got running water out here at a remote location. The intention is to hook an irrigation timer to this so I can water the azaleas automatically when I'm out of town or when I can't handle it doing it myself. And I've got a remote receptacle here that I set down in pretty much the same way. Thin concrete slab, about 4-inch concrete slab, small piece, 4x4 through it, and an electrical box mounted on the front. Because when I dug that long ditch, there was no sense in covering it back up without putting an electrical wire down. And this will be a point where I can connect outdoor lights for the front of the yard. This is my reusable mold. I can show it apart after a while, but I just wanted to show I have 1/2-inch galvanized pipe strapped to a 4x4, and I have a brass spigot on the end. And underneath the slab in the form, I'll be attaching PEX line with a 1/2-inch adapter there threaded going into this end, and a crimp going down to PEX going to the main irrigation line in the yard. It's getting kind of dark out here, but I was going to show you before I shut down for the night how my mold went together. Again, this is the 4x4, or this is a representation. This isn't as long as the 4x4s I use, but I'll place this in my frame and put the screws in the back to hold it in place. I had a hole to bring the pipe through, and I actually lined my mold with duct tape for each run. Now this thing comes apart, the base comes out, and the two sides slide and they come apart. And I put wood screws in, or exterior screws in, to put it all back together. And I made this so I could adjust it to different sizes or different widths. And in this case, is the width of my little slab, and that's what it looks like with no modular faucet units. Brass valve, galvanized steel pipe, threaded with Teflon tape, strapped to a 4x4, which is cast through a small concrete slab. It's light enough to pick up and move around, but heavy enough so it doesn't tilt or tip. And if I get ready to move it, all I really have to do is shut off the water, cut off the pipe going to it, cap it off, and pick this up and move it somewhere else and put it to another line. So it's fairly portable, and that's what I'm going to do. As originally planned when I planted this thing, I'm going to move it. But first I've got to move some pipe, or dig a ditch and put in some pipe. And we do have a well here, and the water comes up. We have a main shutoff valve coming under the foundation. Right before it gets to the pressure switch, which I had to replace recently, we actually had some corrosion in some of the metal here. Then we've got our pressure tank and our pressure gauge. And This valve is where the water supply goes into the house. It branches over across here and goes upstairs where currently we have the water filtration system. But I branched off here also straight with a valve, and I had to double leg back and to go back out of the foundation, and that's where my outdoor water circuits are connected. So if I ever had a frozen line or anything burst out there, I can always shut this off, and I don't have any water in any of the outside spigots. Now, so far as the well is concerned, I can shut off my main water to the house here, or the water from the well there. And I actually moved this stuff underneath the house, the pressure switch. I once had a pump house outside, and it froze every year when it got, 20 degrees, 2 or 3 nights. We had frozen water, or frozen water lines. So we moved our pressure tank and everything under the house where it never freezes in zone 7. Not too shabby. No leak at this joint. Leak at this joint. No leak at this joint. Okay, let me grab an arbitrary blue bucket and let's see what we got here. We should spit out some air and then start flowing some water here. Okay. Mission accomplished. Now I can bury the line, and now my wife can attach a short hose to water the things on the porch, as opposed to dragging a 75-foot water hose around the yard to get to it. So all that's left to do now is bury the line and repair the flower bed, which I need to do right now. Okay, so to sum up, in a weekend and a half, I installed one faucet for the front yard and the flower beds up here, ran the pipe down the property line, and at the other end of the line I have another spigot in the back corner of the yard, back north corner of the yard, and for watering things closer to the house on the back side, instead of a 75-foot hose, we have our third spigot. And after mulching, the flower bed looks almost as good as new. So that was today's job.